Welcome to our conversation this evening. We are talking to Lindah Mbaisi. She's a master's candidate at the University of Leeds and a PR expert. She's also an alumni of the Mandela Washington Fellowship at Cornell University in the US in the 2023. And we are here to get more insights about how this process is done. So, Lindah, welcome to the conversation.
Thank you. Thank you, Mai. Thank you for having me. Thank you for inviting me. I think you're doing an amazing job, and I'm honored to be here.
Much privilege. So, who is Lindah?
I'm just a simple girl, very passionate about communication,
Yes.
currently passionate about climate change and climate communication, um, and policies, especially that are geared towards ensuring that we have climate action, particularly in Kenya and beyond. Because I also define myself as a global citizen. I don't see myself confined to Kenya alone or Kenya only. Currently, a student, a master's student at the University of Leeds, pursuing international communication. Like you said, I'm an alumni of the Mandela Washington Fellowship, Cornell University. I was placed there in 2023.
Oh, thank you. I think that is quite a good profile. And you made your application in towards the end of 2022, right? That
Yes,
got you into the fellowship in 2023.
yes, you're right.
If you were in the assessment committee today of this year's applicants, what would you be looking for based on the criteria for selection of these fellows?
I'd be looking for authentic stories. I'd be looking for someone who is showing their leadership, and not just leadership, but showing their impact in the community. It doesn't have to be a very big impact. The small, small things that we do in our communities really, really matter. And I'll also be looking at someone who really wants this thing so bad, because the fellowship itself is very competitive. There are amazing, brilliant young leaders in Africa that are doing amazing stuff. And so you're looking for someone who really wants this. The slots are the slots are limited, and so you're looking for someone who is passionate about their work, about Africa, about change, about community, and someone who is generally just authentic.
You are at Cornell University. Does it mean that every single person from your country went to that university?
Not really. So the fellowship, I think for Kenya, we had 42 fellows, or rather leaders, young leaders, and we were placed in different universities. From Kenya, we were two of us that were placed at the prestigious Ivy League Cornell University. And it was a brilliant opportunity to just have a feel of the university and the faculty. And I believe that the other fellows who are placed in other universities also had a great experience, because the universities in the US are brilliant. And the people who are taking us through the leadership program were also amazing. They were very qualified. They were very passionate about Africa, and they were knowledgeable about Africa. And so, yeah, everyone, we were placed in different universities, and I believe everyone got value out of the universities where they were placed. But I must say that I'm really honored to have been placed at Cornell University. It's not only an Ivy League university, but I got to experience the teaching experience, or rather how it happens in this world, these top class universities. And it even gave me ideas to think of my PhD. Perhaps I would love to go back to Cornell University to pursue my PhD sometime in 2 or 3 years. So yeah, it was a brilliant opportunity.
That's a great ambition now, especially you are already in another world-class university doing your master's. I think it's
Mhm.
possible to get to that Ivy League university and pursue your doctoral dreams.
Yeah.
And now that gets me to ask, did you choose to be at Cornell University or it was you were put there by selection?
So I didn't choose. And fellows or leaders, the young leaders who end up getting the fellowship don't get to choose their universities. What you choose and you give the idea to the selection committee is your track. There are 3 tracks. I chose the public management, leadership in public management track. There is leadership in business track, and we also have the third one, which is leadership in civic engagement track. So you get to choose the track, and then you are placed in a university that the selection committee feel like is good for your track, and you'll get the value. But all the universities, like I said in the beginning, are brilliant. They are good universities. So I found myself at Cornell University, particularly the School of Public Policy. They have a public policy school. It was an amazing, amazing opportunity to learn about public policy, public management, and uh, whatever university you get placed at, just know that you're going to get the best. You don't need to choose, and there's no university that is better than the other one. They are all brilliant, like I said, and you just go there with an open mind to get this knowledge, to network, to make friends, and to get the skills and the practical experience about the field that you're passionate about.
And I'm tempted to believe you actually already have very good networks from that experience.
Yes, and you're right. I made a lot of friends. First of all, I now have friends from Cameroon. I have friends from Uganda, which is just next to Kenya, but I didn't have friends in Uganda.
Hmm.
So I have friends from Guinea-Bissau. We were 25 fellows at Cornell University, and it was just an amazing opportunity to network with all these leaders and learn about what they are doing. I have networks with people in healthcare. I have networks with people in public service. We had leaders who are working in government. We actually had an elected leader from South Africa amongst ourselves. And in communication, there were a lot of people in climate change and agriculture. It was just good to know what Africa is doing and what other young leaders are doing in their countries. So the networks, yes, I made. I also made networks with the faculty, the professors who are taking us through the program. It was amazing to just know that they are very open to teaching you, to letting you tap into their knowledge, and the community around us, the Cornell community, was so welcoming. So I also made networks with the people just around Cornell University, linked to the university, but just live. It's a whole new community. So you not only get to interact with the academic staff, but you also interact with the community around Cornell. The networks are amazing. So I am very deliberate about ensuring that these networks continue to be there. They continue to flourish. They are really important networks that I know I'm going to take them um, for as long as I can. I'm going to use these networks for as long as I can. So it's important that when you get this opportunity, you go there with the idea, with an open mind, to go and build your networks. You're going to need them at some point in life. And apart from just the benefit that you get, you also get friendships, which last forever.
It sounds like something I may want to do some other day when I can
Yes,
also manage to do that. And
yes.
assuming I don't know anything at all, let's say this is the very first time I'm getting to hear about MWF. Could you please take me through the
Mhm.
application process like an absolute beginner?
So let's first of all know what this fellowship is all about. So the fellowship is called the Mandela Washington Fellowship. It's a fellowship for young leaders, young African leaders. There is an age limit. You have to be between 25 to 35 years old by the time you're applying. And it's an initiative under YALI. I think countries in Africa have YALI. Kenya, we have YALI, and Kenya is the headquarters for the East Africa cohort, or rather the East Africa part of YALI, normally at KU, Kenyatta University. And it's been there. The fellowship has been there since 2014. and you get to choose 3 tracks. I think I mentioned earlier that you get to choose 3 tracks that align with what you do in your community or in your work. As a beginner or as someone who is applying, I would say, first of all, information is key. Go to the website and read about the fellowship. Know what the fellowship is all about. You might ask me to explain to you what the fellowship is all about, but I feel like information is freely in the age, this digital age. Information, we have a lot of information online. So go to their website and learn what it is all about. Then you get to write a very good application because you are writing it from a point of knowledge. Secondly, there are so many other resources from people like me. Get to talk to them and learn of their experiences applying, their experiences interviewing, their experiences even at the fellowship, and how they came back and perhaps used their skills to better the communities they live in. So the application process, I think it should be opening soon, and it's very simple. Yes, yes. So it opened on 13th of August, and I feel like go and read about the fellowship. You still have time. As it opens, you have time to submit your application. Read about it. Look at videos. There are so many videos, and one of them is this one that we are doing right now. Watch the video and get to ask the questions that you feel you'll need to ask for you to make a good application. I said before that this fellowship is very competitive. All these countries in Africa have amazing, brilliant young leaders who are applying and they want this opportunity. So once you get that information, then you log into their website and you look for where to apply and you start applying. There are essays that are there to be answered. There are a few very simple essays. If your story is authentic and really you are trying to make an impact and you are doing the work in your community, you should be able to answer the essay questions. They are brilliant questions just about your experiences working in your community, working in a diverse environment, as a leader, as someone who is looking to impact or someone who is looking to make some change where they are from in that very little part. It can be in Kisumu or in Tarbo, Isiolo. They take leaders from across Africa. It doesn't matter. You don't have to come from the city. They are able to see authenticity in your story and know that you need the skills, the training, and the experience in the US for you to come and make your community better. So the application process is very straightforward. There are essay questions that you respond to, and you submit all the required documents or whatever they ask you. Just submit. You don't need it. It's just about being authentic and you telling your story and remembering that once you get to the interviewing slot, which I know we might be discussing later, you are able to tell your story as you wrote it. Go
So
on.
you must have your story in mind because you may be needed to retell that story at one point again.
Absolutely. You might be required, if you proceed to the interview stage, to say they just want to see you and connect with you with what you wrote. If you say that for instance, I told them that I worked with this farmer organization and I was really passionate about telling the stories of the farmers, their resilient stories, helping them learn about policies that affect their farming enterprises. And therefore, they just want to see you during the interview and hear you speak about the work that you do. So be authentic, and your story it can be different and it should be different from other people, and just know how to articulate yourself. Start right now by doing something so that even though the applications are already open, you should have done something in your community for you to be able to write the essay, because you can't write the essay from a point of you've not done anything. So start from somewhere, and that is what you use in your application.
So do I need to do like big things in the community, or I can just put even the very simple corporate CSR things, corporate social responsibility stuff that people usually participate in.
I mean, everybody is a leader in whatever capacity. And what I love about the Mandela Washington Fellowship is that you don't need to have done big things. In fact, if you've done big things, it looks like you've already made it in life. So, do you really need the experiences, the skills, and the training that they are going to offer? No. Just whether you've done big things or small things, and I don't feel like any impactful work you can measure the in terms of this is big impact, this is small impact. Impact is just different. It can be you helping 5 people in your community be able to learn about climate change, 5 farmers in your community be able to learn about resilience in their farming, or you helping young girls learn about tech, or you helping women in your rural area to safe delivery as a medical professional. So impact does not need to be, it's not about numbers. Even though you will need to like give data, and during the interview and during your essay writing, it's good to work with numbers. You don't need to work with big numbers. If you say you are able to impact 50 youth in your community to plant trees, or to learn about how to make art, and how to get into the music industry, to teach them about intellectual property rights, that's enough. If you've done 50 and someone else has done 1,000, well and good. All of you are making impact in different capacities. So you don't need to have done big things for you to apply. The fellowship is for someone who is making impact in their community.
Uh, that is quite informative, and I believe anybody who is hoping to make an application this year is going to at least do the right thing as advised. And I would be happy to mention that none of these things are actually come from a very strange place. They are done by people, and it's all about listening to what people who have been through the process have done, and you can mimic that and also put in your own experience. And we are going to the next important step of the application. So assuming now I have written my essays very well, which you, as you have mentioned, it's just sharing your experience, right? And bringing out what you've been doing. Now, the next step is you become a semi-finalist. In their own words, that's what they call it. And you are
Yes.
going to the embassy to do an interview. Could you please tell us how is it structured around the entire interview process? And when do I know I'm a semi-finalist?
So I would like to say that when you mentioned the word semi-finalist, it just reminds me on that time when I got that email. It was a beautiful moment for me. I celebrated. I was really happy to have made it to the semi-finalist, to that stage. It's everyone's dream to get into the semi-finals, because you can imagine in Kenya we had, I think, over 10,000 applications, and you can imagine other countries like Nigeria, where there are many brilliant young people who are also looking for this opportunity, and their population is really big. Yeah, it's a very huge population, with also very brilliant young people, because I got to network with some of them in the US, in DC, and at Cornell, and I really, really loved their resilience, their determination, and all. So you get the email after application, you just wait, just apply, put in your application, tell your story authentically, like I said, then wait. Then they write an email. Normally, I got the email around March, and oh no, I might get the timelines wrong, but when I got the email, I was excited. I just went straight into preparing for the interview. And the interview is basically your application, because it's just an opportunity for them to meet you and to hear you speak it out, and to hear you speak about the work that you're doing, your impact, and all. So it was a virtual interview. I didn't get to go to the embassy for a physical interview. So it was on Zoom. You just prepare the same way you prepare while going to a physical interview, because people take Zoom interviews or these virtual interviews, they take them for granted. Yes, they take them for very casually. You show up in your slippers. Uh, like for instance, when you asked me to be here, I made
Mhm.
sure that I looked good because
Yeah,
yes,
it's
I'm not.
important.
It's important. So even for
Yeah.
that interview, you have to look good. You have to look the part. And someone gave me a trick with how I dress. I actually tried to mimic the American flag. I was wearing a navy blue suit, a white shirt, and I had some red, something red, just to
Yeah.
get all the three colors. And it was beautiful. It shows that
That
you are
was
also.
very clever.
It was very genius, and it shows that you as a Kenyan, you're also appreciating the partnerships and the
Hmm.
relations your country, Kenya, has with the United States. And
Hmm.
it just shows that you are this open-minded person, willing to collaborate from Kenya to the US, willing to collaborate and appreciating that the two countries can really work together. And I
Yeah.
had my little Kenyan pin there, and I want to tell you that I felt confident because even how you dress really impacts on how you show up at interviews.
Yes.
So the interview was very short. It went for 15 minutes. It's a short interview. You are many. Remember that you are many. There are many of you in the semifinal still. You are all trying to get these slots. There were only 42 slots. So you have to use that 15 minutes to put your point across. When they ask you a question, you just go straight to the point. Remember to tell your story. Remember to give data where necessary. If you have evidence, carry that evidence to the interview. I carried one evidence, I think just something about my work. And the question, luckily, there was a question regarding that challenge that I experienced. So they were asking me about one time that I've had to incorporate other people's feedback and suggestion in the work in suggestions in the work that I do. And I told them that I had this time where I was designing some merchandise for the staff and for our stakeholders. And during the design, I had to incorporate other people's opinions and views and what they would like to see in the design. You know, merchandise, t-shirts, caps, lapel pins. So my example was the lapel pin, and guys wanted a circular lapel pin. And I felt like the square one is cuter. It's better. It looks better, and um, it's more out there as opposed to the circular one. And because our logo was rectangular, I tried to convince them that our logo is rectangular. It won't look good in a circular lapel. What did I end up doing? You look for solutions even at a time when you have differing opinions or different viewpoints. And I said, okay, let's make a few circular ones and let's make a few square ones. So whoever wants a square one will get to choose a square one. And it shows that you are incorporating other people's viewpoints, ideas, and opinions. At the same time, trying to still do your work as maybe this communications lead. And so it was a brilliant example. So the interviews are just an opportunity for you to just hit the nail on the head. No dilly-dallying, no beating around the bush. Go straight to the point. You are fighting for one slot.
Yeah.
And so you
And you
have to
have to
show up.
make it through. You are
You
already
have to,
halfway.
yes. So imagine
So
getting to the interview and not making it. So you go there with all the information and everything ready to just get the slot.
how many people were you in your interview? How
So
many interviewers?
I had three interviewers. I had three interviewers, brilliant, amazing, very kind people from the US Embassy. They basically just had a conversation with me, like the one we are having right now. It didn't feel like an interview or like an interrogation that I need to master this and say this and speak like this. It was pretty much a conversation just about my work. Linda, are you looking forward to the US? What do you want the US people to learn from Kenya? It can be as simple as learning your food, learning the language, learning our diverse culture. You know, we have 42 tribes in Kenya, learning how to coexist as with as many tribes as we have. So it was just a simple, very nice conversation that I really enjoyed. And when the 15 minutes was over, I was like, I want this conversation to continue.
I
Yeah.
actually
So
think, I actually think, and this is one thing I can also agree with you. When it comes to international opportunities, the interviews are more or less like a conversation of let's get to know you, and you only
absolutely.
need to be like relaxed and master your thing. So did you write about the lapels? You know, I was about to ask you what you chose, but now at least you already answered it. Did you write about the lapel in your application essays?
No,
Uh-huh.
I actually there was no there was a question on how you deal with the different viewpoints at your workplace, but
Mm-hmm.
I didn't write about the lapel. I
Mm-hmm.
wore the lapel for to just show that yes, this is Lindah and this is the organization that I work for. It was my organization's lapel.
Mm-hmm.
At that time, I was working at this amazing place. I no longer work there, but it
Mm-hmm.
was a brilliant opportunity for me to just step out and learn about the agriculture sector and climate change. So the lapel was for me to just represent my organization. I went there fully to represent myself, the farmers that we work for, over 200,000 farmers at that time.
Mm-hmm.
So that organization, that lapel was for the farmers. It was for the organization. And when they asked about an example of, I just looked at myself, what do I have? And I saw the lapel. You have to think on your feet. There's no opportunity for you to refer to your notes. In fact, you don't have notes. There's You have to be on your feet, think very spontaneous, and just think of something to respond. 15 minutes, once it's over, it's over. So you have to make sure that all the questions they have, they get to ask you. And I remember I even had a few minutes to spare, and they asked me, oh Lindah, you still have like 5 minutes to go. What do you have any question for us? And I remember not having a question. And it's okay if you don't have a question for your interview, the person who is interviewing you. It's okay not. I did not ask a question. What I did, I used that time to tell them, choose me. So you don't, you might, it's good, it's brilliant to have a question. But you see, I've seen all these templates where people are during interviews and you are asked to kindly, if you have a question, ask at the end of the interview. And people have the same questions they go to these interviews. My strategy has always been, I don't have a question, but I want to reiterate. I use that opportunity to go back to the things that I've said and remind you, in case you've forgotten, this is who Lindah is. This is what I have been able to do. And if you give me this opportunity, I'll be able to do this, and it will be more or better. So I use that opportunity to tell them that, listen, you have to have me in that cohort.
Yes, sure. And you managed to convince them that way.
Absolutely.
Well, and I think that is quite informative. And it looks like you already passed the interview. Now we are going to the next step. We have given you the offer. And we are taking you to the visa application process. Of which, what is that visa called? Is it J1 or what is it?
Yes, J1.
So you are at the visa application stage. What
Mm.
do you need to apply for your visa?
So just leaving the interview, for me, I left the interview very confident. I was extremely overconfident. I even said, if I don't get this thing, I might even fall sick. I was too confident. I started even buying my suitcases and all, but we needed to go get the visas first. And when we were applying for the visa, of course, because you are going there at the invite of the US government, so they help you with the visa. It's pretty much the simplest visa application process I've ever had to go through. They help you. It's their government. You are a visitor. You are a friend of the state. You are visiting the US upon the invite of the government. So they help you with the visas. You just fill the application on your own, but they really guide you. We have program officers from the embassy that work with you throughout the step of applying for the visa. And they take you through the process in terms of if you have questions and you don't understand any question that is on the visa application form, you just ask. So we had a place where we would consolidate all our questions as we apply the visa, and people chose to do it in groups or in so that they are able to like know what does this mean. But the information, you're supposed to feel very be honest in your answering the questions, because they are pretty much straightforward. Submit all the attachments that are needed. There's a passport photo that is required, and other documents. You'll just see what is required. It's not a lot, but it's necessary information, and some information you get from the embassy program officer. And then you are booked for the interview at the embassy. And again, you are supposed to go there and be very honest, be authentic, and respond to the questions that they ask you at the visa application center. Then you wait. You have to go with your passport, the original passport, and other supporting documents. Then you take them. You go through the process. You wait for the visa to come out. We didn't wait again. I'm telling you, this was the easiest visa. I think it came out in a day or two, because they are also knowing that it's a priority visa. For us, it was priority because we were soon going to leave the country. So the visa came, and we were just ready, preparing to go to the US. But before that, also, before you travel, there are also things that you need to do as a fellow. There are courses that you need to do in preparation to arrival at your institute.
Do you get all the information you need on what to carry?
You get all the information you need when you are applying on the visa application documents, or everything is in black and white. If you know how to read, if you applied for the scholarship, for the fellowship, you know how to read, you know.
Yes.
So you know what they need. Just give what they need. If they ask for supporting documents, depending on how you answered the questions, you need to provide those supporting documents. And the supporting documents are different per person. The documents that you submit really depend on how you respond to the question on the questions on the application form. So they will ask you, you might need to carry your ID, you might need to carry extra passport photos. If you answered that you've ever been there's something that has ever happened to you, you need to carry that proof. If you work, you need to carry evidence that this is the organization that you work for. You need to carry your application, your letter where you've been invited for the interview.
Yes.
Just basic documents, and you make sure carry as much as possible, because sometimes you get there and they need a document that you have but you didn't carry it, or you didn't print it out. Then it really derails your process. So carry everything that you need, but the program officer will guide you into what to carry, into the documents that you need to carry. But they'll tell you that carry 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 items, and any other document that you think will support your application. So just read and be honest, and carry whatever you think it might. Even if it's ID, carry copies, several copies. You might be required to produce those. Passport photos, carry an extra. You can lose the one that you had gone with. So carry 2 or 3 or 4. And make sure that your documents are all like
in good
well
order.
placed. They're in good order, so that when they ask, you just give.
So that feels like a foolproof process. Only know how to read and get ready with everything that you're asked for, and you're good to go.
Yeah, the process is so simple. You know, the reason why people will come to you and ask you, Lindah, let me know how you applied for this. How did you apply? What do they need? It's because you've not read. What they need is on the website.
Yes.
The visa application process, just wait until you get to that stage. You will just be reading. Page 1, what is your name? You know your name. How old are you? You know when you are born.
Yes, yes.
Attach a copy of your passport,
You
have it on your
attach.
laptop,
Mm-hmm.
attach.
Mm-hmm.
It's pretty much straightforward. The application to the visa, perhaps what I would say and what I normally talk to people about is just articulating the work that they do or the impact that they are making in the community.
Mm-hmm.
That is normally the problem, particularly because some people come from, they are in different fields, and so maybe writing is difficult and they are not able to express their ideas or themselves better, and so they do an amazing job in their communities, but they cannot express it in writing.
Mm-hmm.
So you have to, if I get an opportunity, I normally just guide and tell you, this is how you need to respond to this question, but tell your story.
Yes.
Start with the STAR method, What was the situation? How did you go about addressing it? What were the results? What happened after that? And so the process is pretty much straightforward. Yeah.
Yeah, that is well explained, and whoever is listening, I think they're having all the information in good place.
Mm.
Just to remind you, this is the Management Diary. We usually talk about opportunities for young people from across the world, and we get to host people who have been through the process to advise you on how to do this. You can check us on all the socials. That's LinkedIn, YouTube, Facebook, and TikTok. The last two are coming soon. So let's remain in touch. And today we are hosting Lindah Mbaisi. She is an alumni of the Mandela Washington Fellowship, and this is the discussion we are having. So we have talked about the entire process up to the visa application, and now we are remaining with only two things. The first thing is you getting on your flight to the US and you getting set up on the program and getting everything done. First, the visa is fully funded financially, right,
So
Lindah?
the whole fellowship is fully funded by the U.S. government, the U.S. State Department, and you don't need to pay anything. So just present yourself. Once you get your visa, you get onboarded to your university. Virtually, they get to meet you. The university, the faculty, they meet you online, they talk to you, and they welcome you in advance to the university or to the institute that you'll be going to. Then it's just your flight ticket. It will be sent. It's normally sent by the embassy or the program officer at the embassy. And you plan how to pack nicely, to prepare if there are any health uh, precautions that you need to take during COVID. You remember, we still are taking those precautions. They advise you, if you have gotten your vaccines or you need your mask, how to plan. Then the airport that you're going to, they'll pick you up from the airport. I mean, it's such a it's a beautiful experience. They do everything for you. You just arrive. I remember arriving at Syracuse. I remember, I don't know how to say that name, but it was Syracuse, yeah, the airport. And I got picked up. It was very late at night, but it really felt amazing to just land in the US. I landed in Philadelphia or something. Yeah. So it was, I think it was a brilliant opportunity. A lot of the things, I just have a lot of memories about landing at this airport, and then the next one, and then the school, and then experiencing these 2 months. It went by so quickly, so you have to be very alert to absorb the knowledge and the skills. So you are just absorbed by the university, and you begin the following day. We actually began the program. You arrive that night. I arrived at night. Some people arrived during the day. It just depends on where you're coming from. So for me, I arrived at night, and the following day I just prepared, and there's communication. They
So
communicate.
allow
You
me to
go
cut
to
you
the,
short.
yeah. Mm.
So after this presidential treatment throughout the airport, you go to the university and you find all your accommodation is well set. You know
Mm-hmm.
where you're going to stay, blah, blah, blah,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So,
Everything. Mm-hmm.
mhm. So now the very following day, because the MWF gives you like 6 weeks of fellowship,
Mm-hmm.
so it means
Yes,
everything begins the following day.
immediately you arrive and you start.
What is everything?
So, Oh, you get communicated on where to meet. Maybe it's a classroom. So we first of all met in a classroom, all of us. It was our first time meeting each other, but we had a WhatsApp group where we were talking. So to meet in person, that was the first time on the first day, which was the following day. You get to introduce each other, and they introduce the program. So it starts off very simple and easy, but actually the program starts immediately, because 6 weeks is such a short time. With the amount of knowledge that is there to be shared, it's such a short time. And I think that was one of the feedback that we gave the fellowship, that if the fellowship for you people, or for people who are yet to apply, you might benefit from our feedback. We said it should be made longer, because there's a lot that needs to be learned. If not in person, maybe they can continue the fellowship virtually once you get back to your country, and continue learning. So you start immediately, you make friends, you start the program, your notes, you are writing, you are going to all these places. It was too quick. So you also have to be on your toes to get the knowledge.
So this 6 week program, what happens? You did a program on leadership in management, right?
Yes.
So
Hmm.
generally, just because there are three, I don't know, the
Tracks.
tracks.
Yes.
Generally, what happens?
So you learn about different topics. So it's leadership in public management,
Hmm.
but there are different things under public management. There's the finance part. People in civic engagement and business, they also have their own. It's like a program, but it has modules.
Hmm.
So I learned a lot. I learned about leadership. I learned a lot about public finance and infrastructure. And it was beautiful to learn about a lot of what is happening in Africa in terms of our infrastructure, and what we are doing right and wrong, and
Hmm.
how, as young leaders, we can go back and try to improve and bring change. We learned about diversity. We are living in a very diverse world right now, in
Hmm.
terms of, as a leader, one of the qualities is diversity. You should have that on your fingertips. Be very diverse in the teams that you work in. Be inclusive. We met leaders, elected leaders. I remember meeting people who are vying. We met the communities and just learned of the work that they do in terms of charity. We did Mandela Day. So there's one day where you go and celebrate the Mandela Day. There was beautiful experiences celebrating birthdays. We were celebrating, just every day we had an activity, exploring the US, and we did explore the Cornell community. They have beautiful, beautiful waterfalls. In fact, the university has waterfalls in the university. It was beautiful. That university is brilliant. So you start with the program. It has so many modules, and every day is a different module. Then there's a one test that you do, the Clifton's strength assessment, and you're able to know yourself as a leader. What are your strengths? What are your weaknesses? Where can you improve? You do activities to improve your leadership skills. You talk to people. I am so honored to have spoken to Cornell University. She went on retirement. Their president, Martha, and it was a brilliant opportunity to speak to her about her leadership at the university, at this top university, as a woman, and as someone who I saw was a very, very brilliant professional in that aspect. So you get to see people that, who knows. Then finally you go to Washington DC for the final summit, the summit where you meet other fellows from other institutes. It's an opportunity to network. People get friends, people get partners there, people get knowledge, they get skills. So you go there very open-minded. You go there with this open mind, where you're just going to receive information and know what to filter, know what to take in. But it's just a brilliant opportunity to speak to other young leaders and learn about the work that they do. So Washington, D.C. is normally the end. It's normally like the culmination of that whole fellowship program. And then you come back to Kenya.
So yeah, so you finish the fellowship, you
Mhm.
present a project at the end of the fellowship, if I
Oh
get it
yeah,
right.
yeah. I actually forgot. There's a project that you normally work on throughout the fellowship. You don't work
Hmm.
on it at the end.
Hmm.
You work on it throughout. In fact, you start working on it even before you go to the US because
Hmm.
you present a proposal. This is my project. This is what I would like to do when I come back. I never got to implement my project, but I'll be going back to Kenya to implement because I came to study in the UK. So I'll be going back to implement that. I'm really passionate about still getting a role or an opportunity to work in the agriculture sector and climate change, and still work with farmers, and especially the ones in the deep rural communities, empower them about knowledge, empower them on with knowledge and information about policies, talk to them about how they can authentically tell their stories, because farmers do an amazing job. We eat every day, we feel so good about the food we eat, but we never appreciate where it comes from, the hard work that goes into the making of that food. So I'm still passionate, and I'm gonna implement my project once I get back, on my own capacity or with the organization that I will be working with when I come back. So you get to do a project and present it. We also get to do Ignite talks, where those ones are presented at the final summit in Washington D.C. Ignite talks is just one of you being selected to give a talk on behalf of the cohort, on behalf of that university, and they just speak about passionate issues that Africa has and what solutions we can bring on board as young people. And so we had this brilliant lady uh, from Botswana who represented us, and we really feel like she did an amazing job speaking about health equity. And you get to learn that as someone in communication who has, okay, I have a little bit of knowledge, but it's not a lot of knowledge in healthcare. But when I met, she's called Kele. So when I met her, she was able to talk to me about health equity and the fact that Africa is lacking on that front, and what, as young people, we can do to improve that. So apart from the project, you also do the Ignite talk and other brilliant, amazing opportunities and activities. Go there open minded and just be open to doing a lot of those activities. Be present, because sometimes you get lost in the fact that, oh, I'm in America, this is US, and then you miss out on the learning opportunities. So be
Yes.
present.
I feel like in just 45 minutes, I've been to Kenya, to the US Embassy, to
And
the US, and I've done all this. So I believe I believe I believe what you have shared is sufficient knowledge to guide everybody who is making this application, at least
yeah,
to make the right decision and to know what to expect. Now that
yes,
we've come all the way up to the summit to DC, I understand that the next place is to just complete the fellowship and then head back home to implement what we are doing. And for you now, you came to the UK for your masters. So I wish you all the best in your masters, and we will hope to have more discussion about also your experiences in the UK.
thank you so much for having me. I really appreciate that I was able to like be here and give the little or much information about the fellowship. It's a brilliant opportunity. I encourage everyone to apply for it. Don't wait. Just go ahead and start making your application. The fellowship is looking for people like you. You are more than capable. You are good in the whatever impact you are making. Don't look at it as a small impact. Impact is impact. So go ahead and apply, and just because it's very competitive, be hopeful that you're gonna get to the semi-final and the final stage of it. And it's a brilliant opportunity to go and network, gain knowledge, skills, and come back and change your community. So for me, like I said, I will be going from the UK to go and implement what I said I was going to implement because it comes from a point of passion, being passionate about that work. It shouldn't just be about going to the US. It should be about you coming back and impacting your community. Because if you look at it from a point of I'm just traveling to the US and back, trust you me, that program is not for you.
Yes.
So go there with the hope and with the goal of coming back to transform your community. Of course, you can transform your community in one day, but whatever skills and networks you have gained, use those skills and networks to change your community or whatever situation you have where you are. So once again, Omai, thank you for having me. I'm in the middle of my dissertation. I'm hoping to complete this week and submit and then go back home to Kenya. Also, the scholarship allows me to go and do amazing, brilliant things back at home in climate change. And I'm hoping that I get to achieve most of the things that I said I was going to do.
Thank you. Thank you. So we usually get to ask one last question at the end. How can we find you on socials?
Yeah, I'm very active on Twitter at Lindah Mbaisi, Lindah. Mbaisi is Mbaisi. I'm on LinkedIn, Lindah Mbaisi, MPRSK. And then I'm on Facebook, not very active on Facebook and Instagram, but I'm active on TikTok. I know TikTok is for young people who can dance, who can lip sync. I can't dance to save my life, but I'm on TikTok and I'm
Okay.
learning. You can also find me there as Lindah Mbaisi on TikTok. Thank you so
So,
much.
so we will leave the links to her socials at the description of this video. So just check the description below and you're going to get all channels through which you can approach her, and you will use whichever works best for you. So thank you for joining us, Lindah. That was Lindah Mbaisi, and see you in the next episode. Bye-bye.